Hi everybody, I'm Teri Stiles and I'm at our beautiful Oxford Township Library with Bryan Cloutier, the director here. And I asked Bryan, there was a bit of a snafu with the candidates for the primary, right, for Bryan's board. So I asked him if he would clear it up for me and hopefully for you all, if you have any questions on that. Bryan, I know that we have your board doing write-ins. What happened? And I really want people to know that it's a board that's been here for a while.
Correct. There are two members of my board, Kathy Hayfline and Tony Rizzo, who've been with me, I think, all 18 years that I've been here.
Unreal.
So it's kind of unfortunate that we're in the situation we're in. That being said, the board, contrary to what may be floating around on outside media or on social media, the board didn't do anything wrong. There was nothing that they did or did not do that resulted in the situation we're in. It's unfortunate that really during the 2020 election, when a lot of candidates were trying to get their opponents kicked off the ballot for minor issues that they had or imperfections in their affidavits, the laws changed. The laws changed at the state level that then trickled down to the local, the county levels and then the local units of government. Unfortunately, I think what happened is there's a huge miscommunication somewhere in that chain. And things that were acceptable in the past, because honestly, I've been in the industry for 30 years. I've been a director all 30, but I've been in the industry for 30 years.
Right.
And 18 of those here with an elected board. We've never had this issue, never. So what happened is during that change, if there were minor omissions or errors on the affidavits in the past, they looked at it and said, what was the candidate's intent here? And if they could find a clear means of intent, they oftentimes would certify it and it would end up on the ballot.
Yeah.
In this case, though, however, after things have changed, they kind of took a strong zero tolerance. I hate to say zero tolerance because it's probably not the right word there, but they don't accept any errors or omissions anymore. And as a result of that, in our board's case, on their affidavits, there's a couple of check boxes that they have to check. One that says, is your intention to be on the general election in November, or is your intention to be on the August primary?
Right.
The library board is nonpartisan, meaning they're not declaring if they're a Republican or a Democrat. That's irrelevant here.
Right.
They're nonpartisan. And as a result of that, they've never in the history of the library have they been primaried.
Right.
So no one knew that there was a technicality that indicated that if they would, in our case, we have a 6-member board. If there were 13 members or 13 people in the community that all submitted their affidavits to be on the library board, it would have automatically triggered a primary. No one knew that. The township didn't know that.
Sure.
So
clerks don't.
Well, maybe they should have known that, but
maybe
they didn't know that.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, our board, because they've always been on the November election or November ballot,
Sure.
they checked the November ballot,
Of course.
submitted it to the township. The township certified it, sent it to the county, and when it hit the county, they disqualified all of them because they didn't check the primary box.
Board. Yeah.
So, and you know what's really frustrating about all of this is the fact that most of the board, if not all of them, submitted their paperwork far enough in advance, along with contact information, email, phone number, address, all of that. It could have been remediated before we got to this point.
Wow.
But no one bothered to contact them to say, hey, you have this issue, it's a minor issue, but it disqualifies you. Would you like to correct it? Nobody did that. And because of that, the time lapse expired and they were all disqualified.
Wow.
So at this point, the only means of fixing this issue or recourse, I guess, if you will, but it's not really recourse, is to file as a write-in candidate. And that's what triggered this whole discussion about filing as a write-in candidate to be on the ballot. Now, none of them will be on the August primary, so the August primaries are relevant at this point.
So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Not that it, shouldn't have changed the whole circumstance of what happened.
Right.
But certainly it's irrelevant at this point. They're all going to be in November.
Isn't that ironic?
And they all have to be write-in candidates.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so do they have to file a certain amount of paperwork to become a write-in candidate? How does that happen now?
Yeah, so the way election law, and I'm not a clerk,
Yeah.
but I know enough about this to know, I've been on the ballot myself, so I understand the process. At this particular point in time, in order to be a write-in candidate, it's not as though, I could declare I'm a write-in candidate without filing any paperwork and just tell my friends and neighbors, hey, write my name on the ballot and get me on and we're golden. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
You have to actually file, not an affidavit like you would during a regular election, but you have to file a form that indicates that your intent is to be a write-in candidate. And at that point in time, in order for that write-in to be counted, you would have had to have filed that your intention to be a write-in candidate. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what you write on there. If you hadn't filed the paperwork, it's not going to count. All 6 board members filed their intent to be a write-in candidate, and they will all be declared write-in candidates for this election. So we just have to know that in order for that vote to be counted, an individual will need to write their name on the ballot.
Okay, right.
And indicate probably the circle next to their name.
So is there a means for the person that's voting to know who they need to write in?
Well, I mean, they can write in anyone that files for a declaration to be a write-in candidate. In our case, if you're interested in knowing who the existing board members are, the incumbent board members, they're all on our website at miopl.org. And there is a link so that on the website you can see who all the board members are. Good. You can see there's even pictures of them online as well.
Great.
Most of the people who are on our board have been on our board for quite some time. They're not first-term individuals. Most of the people on our board are highly respected individuals in the community, well-known in the community. But there are people, obviously, who may or may not be aware who sits on the library board. Sure. So at this point, if that's something that you're interested in knowing, please visit our website. And all of that information is on there. The library board links along with...
And it's all those board members that are the write-ins. There's one new?
There is an individual in the community who has, to my knowledge, declared an intent to be a write-in candidate. Okay. They're not going to be on the library website because they're not an incumbent library board member.
Sure.
But at this point, if you're wondering who those individuals are, their information is on the website. It's also on our newsletter that goes out to all of the homeowners too.
And then I'll run a list of them too, as we're speaking. They already met a deadline. There's no deadline. There's no more room for error.
Well, they have filed all of the existing board members have filed their paperwork for intent to be a write-in.
Yep, okay.
And I check the website with Oakland County on a regular basis, and they are all declared.
Okay, all right. They're official.
They're official write-in at this point.
And this is not the only community that this happened to.
No. One of the things that, without going into too much detail, because I don't want to bore people, but the library is established as a Public Act 164 township library. And the PA 164 is the establishment act that, in our case, the state declares how we are established. And it sets the parameters for a number of things, including elections. So the irony is, in some cases where we have individuals that are district libraries, not all of them, but a lot of them they have appointees to their boards. Right. The individual municipality appoints whoever they choose to
Sure,
have on the board
right.
representing them.
Like my board.
In this case, because we are a Public Act 164 township library, it is an election because they are a governing board. They're not an advisory board. They're governing. Now, they do sit in their role without compensation. So that's the other kind of heartbreaking thing, is that these are dedicated public servants. They don't get paid for what they do.
No.
They just do it out of the kindness of their heart because they want to do something good in the community, good for the library. And then to be told they were disqualified and have to go through that was a little disheartening. In this case, to my knowledge, and there may be more, but to my knowledge, I know that part of the Orion Library Board, not all, but part of the Orion Library Board was disqualified for similar, if not same reason. Part of the Rochester Hills Public Library Board had a similar situation. All of the Brandon Township Library Board, all of the Holly Township Library Board, and us. And there may be others that I'm just not aware of, but those are the ones that are like in our immediate geographic area.
Right.
So at this point, right, we're not in this alone. So obviously it wasn't just Oxford Public Library trustees that didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
It was a number of people throughout this region that didn't get that same memo. So at this point, they were all declared write-ins. I know some communities have taken legal action against Oakland County as a result of this. I don't know where that's going to go. I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to speculate. But I will indicate that they have decided that there was justification, at least in their mind, and maybe their legal counsel's mind, that they had justification to take some form of legal recourse. We cannot do that because we can't expend public funds for, in this case, a candidate. But the township, because township is the legal election authority in this case, it's their jurisdiction.
Yes.
Townships or municipalities in this case, if they so choose, can take that legal recourse. We cannot.
And I do know, so again, having spoken to the editor of the newspaper in Brandon, they are pursuing it. So we'll see how that turns out.
Well, I know Brandon has, and I think maybe even Oakland Township maybe as well.
I did hear that.
Not that I should be speaking for them or on them. I'm not representing them, but I do know that I've knowledge that they're doing that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we had the opportunity to clear this up. It's frustrating. I'm frustrated for you and your board. I know many of those people on that board, and I know their heart is in it. And it's too bad they had to jump through that extra hoop. It's not easy to run in the first place. I've done it. It's not an easy thing. It's stressful.
I've been there as well.
Yeah.
I'm fully aware of what goes into that process. It's a lot of work.
It is.
And a lot of time and energy. And you don't do it unless you're committed to representing whatever organization or board you sit on. It's not just something that we should do just because we think, hey, someday I would like to sit on a board or a commission. We shouldn't be doing it for that reason.
Right.
We should be fully committed, and I can tell you,
read that packet.
having worked with all of the individuals on my board, they are those individuals who are very committed and very dedicated to making the library better for everyone who lives in this community. We have a very strong backgrounds from various different entities or organizations or career paths that sit and represent us on the board.
Yep.
We have teachers, we have communications people, we have
Wide
people
variety,
who have been in business. They're all very strong. Each one of them brings something very unique and very specific to the board in their strengths and their backgrounds and experience. We have retired librarians on the board. So it's arguably one of the best boards that I've ever worked with in my career, and I've worked with a lot of boards. But they're very knowledgeable and very experienced, and we'd hate to see any of them not be here anymore.
Yeah. And they're doing a really good job. Tell them thank you for us, would you please? Because I know being on a board really is a thankless job.
it can be. It can be very fulfilling too. But when you have comments of individuals that really don't have the back end of what happened, making comments on social media that are just out of context,
Right.
It hurts people to be able to read that kind of stuff. And and you know, I see that social media has done so many great things for communities and people and individual organizations. But there's the negative that comes with it too.
Yeah, it can
it's
cause
just
a lot.
inevitable.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but we just got to overlook that and be above that.
And that's what we're here for, is to try to dispel some of that rhetoric.
Absolutely.
Thank you for doing
We
that.
appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
I think libraries and communication industry go hand in hand.
Agreed.
One is not successful without the other.
Agreed.
So we appreciate what you do for our community as well and
Thank
getting
you.
this information out there.
Yep, we'll do it as
Thank
soon
you.
as possible.
K9 Stray Rescue League, Kris here with Jordan's Way. Guys, we got a 3-hour nonstop fundraiser plan for your team right now. We're going for 3 hours nonstop. The first thing I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna share the link to donate in the comment section. Right in the comment section, guys, the link to donate is right there. I just pinned it also to the comment section. That is our weapon for today. We're gonna try to raise $15,000 by 9 o'clock. To do that, I'm gonna need everybody's help.
Hi guys, my name is Cammie.
I'm Julie.
We are volunteers here at K9 Stray Rescue League. We are here today with the Jordan's Way fundraiser, raising money for our great dogs. So we've been doing a ton of really cool, fun little side bits of extracurricular things. For example, I got hit in the face with a whipped cream pie. My kids got to slap each other with tortillas on camera, which was really fun. Just a ton of fun things to get viewers involved with, our live stream today. If you'd like to help out, we do take tons of donations. We could always use blankets, we can use towels, food. A lot of our dogs are on anxiety medicine because, as you can imagine, being here is really stressful for them, as it would be for any of us. Monetary donations, and we are always looking for volunteers. You can come walk, you can come enrich, play with the dogs. You can sit with them on this couch right here. And we are also looking for foster families. A ton of our dogs could really, benefit from a day or two or a week or a month up to a year, as long as you are willing to open your home for one of these amazing dogs.
Give it up for Brody. Get out. All right, Brody, stay right there. Don't move, Brody. Right there, stay there. All right, champ. 20 minutes already on a Tuesday night. You're doing a great job. Let's get it. If you're just joining in, hit that link in the comment section.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
And I'm Natalie, and we are volunteers at K9 Stray Rescue League.
Yeah, today we are here for Jordan Way's fundraiser, supporting our shelter, and we're trying to raise $15,000.
Jordan's Way is an organization that started when Jordan, who is Kris's dog, passed away. He decided to travel around the country and raise money for shelters. Today we are doing an assortment of different challenges to raise money for our dogs.
One of such was to actually go into the kennels and try to fundraise by going live on Facebook, and I did get licked up with whipped cream by one of our shelter dogs in order to try and raise the money.
And funny enough, he's probably the slobberiest dog that we have here.
But he's fantastic, just like all of our dogs here. Please consider volunteering, fostering, donating time, necessities, or even money just to come to the shelter. Every little bit of it goes a long way, and we really appreciate the support.
Chuck Cameron here. Beautiful afternoon here, a windy afternoon in Seymour Lake Park. I'm sitting with Brooke Scott. Brooke, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. It's very nice to meet you, Chuck.
Good to meet you too. Thanks for hanging around outside today. We asked you to come and sit with us today because there's a program with Oakland County, we understand, called 40 Under 40. and you got awarded as being one of the 40 under 40 people that's doing some pretty neat stuff. That's kind of an honor in Oakland County because I think there are probably several people under 40 doing cool stuff. So tell us first, Brooke, how did you get involved in the program, and what did they think about what you're doing that was worthy of an award? Because that's pretty special.
Well, thank you, first of all, for the opportunity and the acknowledgement for the award. It's really an honor to be selected as a candidate for this year's class of 40 under 40. How did I get the award or apply, nominate myself? So I actually have great mentorship at Magna, and I owe it to our Director of Government Affairs, Misty Rice, for encouraging me to apply. She encourages her whole team, including myself, to reach for great lengths. And so I gave it a shot, and I've been involved kind of in and out of government and community volunteering since high school. I born and raised in Oxford, graduated from Oxford High School as well.
Oxford Community TV.
Yeah, there you go. So I just highlighted a few things that I've been involved in from my high school years, being involved in I'm Third. That was really my first organized community experience, volunteering and things like that with I'm Third Club. And then moving on to college, I worked at the Mexican consulate in Detroit as a volunteer intern, if you will, for a few months. And I really got to see who our immigrant population is in Oakland County and Michigan as a whole, that help support our agricultural industry. And then fast forward to what I'm involved in now, which is really helping women advance in their careers. So I'm really passionate about that. In my free time, I also I'm very involved in government. I'm passionate about youth involvement in government and listening to diverse perspectives and things like that. So I've done a couple programs related to that as well.
Interesting. That sounds like you're juggling a lot of balls in there. So I need to understand, what is a company like Magna, big international, I think Canadian, German, a huge manufacturing organization? What is it? Why do they need somebody who has some knowledge about things governmental? Why do they need somebody like you?
That's a great question. And we get this question a lot internally, even externally. So if you think about it, the automotive industry is one of the most highly regulated industries in the world, probably second to pharmaceuticals, for safety purposes, really, to keep us safe in our vehicles. So part of government affairs is understanding the regulatory environment and being able to anticipate new rules and regulations that are going to be created at the federal level to understand what our future vehicles are going to look like, which affects our manufacturing. And then second to that is also having relationships with government officials is so important. We operate in so many different communities throughout the world. We have over 340 manufacturing sites globally in 28 different countries, including 24 manufacturing sites alone in Michigan. So it's really important. Our divisions are very involved in their communities, and just to facilitate those relationships and have them know that we're proud to be where we're at is an important aspect of what we do.
So the Magna that you're involved in, tell us about your particular group or division within Magna and what are their big responsibilities?
Sure. So Magna is a Canadian company. We're actually headquartered in Aurora, Ontario. We were founded in Canada, and I actually work for the U.S. corporate office. So Magna Services of America is the legal name of the entity that I work for. And basically, I work in government affairs. That's important to acknowledge. And what government affairs does for Magna is we serve as a central resource to all of our groups and divisions throughout the world for public policy issues, regulatory issues, risk mitigation strategies, and even things as simple as they might seem as getting a site plan approval for a new facility that we want to build in a new community.
Nothing's ever simple.
There you go. Exactly. Nothing is. So that's really what our function serves at Magna.
And where in that fairly broad scope of things does Brooke fall?
Yeah, so I personally do economic development and compliance. And what that means is I assist our director of economic development and negotiating with the government, our incentives for when we do a new expansion or a new building. And then we also help our divisions with all the compliance related to those agreements for the investment that we have in communities and the jobs that we create.
So that's probably a 4 or 5 hour a day job. So what do you do with the rest of your time? That sounds like a very busy role.
Yeah, it is. It is very busy, and Magna is growing so quickly, and so is our department. So it does take up most of my time. But like I mentioned, I'm very passionate currently about women's issues. I'm involved in a group now called Inforum, which used to be the Detroit Women's Economic Club. It was a spinoff of the original Detroit Economic Club because women actually weren't originally permitted to be in that club. So they made their own.
What about us? What about us?
Yes, exactly. So Inforum today, that's the origins of it. And I loved that they still had that strong sense of there's a place for women at the table and just helping each other. This very collaborative, supportive environment that I'm able to contribute to. So I specifically serve on the Next Gen Council, which is helping younger women in their careers with career development and networking and strategies that they can employ and helping them meet people to figure out their career growth.
Outstanding. Wow. That's good. When you speak about things, your face lights up, which means you like all the enormous amount of work you have to do. So I appreciate that. So you're an Oxford lady. You live here with your husband and now 2 dogs. I like that. So tell us about Oxford and tell us why you're here and let us know whether or not you're going to stay for another week or 2 before you move on to Lansing or California or Paris or something like that.
No, I'm an Oxford girl at heart. Like I said, my husband and I met when we were in middle school. So we've been together for many years. We just celebrated our 2-year wedding anniversary. His name's Logan Scott. When we were in high school, we actually founded a small business called Brogan's Lawn and House Care. So Brooke and Logan, there you go. Not many people get it at the first shot, but Brogan's Lawn and House Care was the original name. It's now known as Brogan's Landscape Construction. And so Logan is very well known in the community for because he still runs the business full time. So we live in Oxford Township. So we live right on the dividing line. Our the house across the street from us is the village, and we're in the township. So right on West Street, we frequent the Pollyann Trail often. We love Oxford. I don't think we're going to leave anytime soon. It's just a very quaint place, great place to raise a family, and yeah, we're glad we stayed after high school.
Well, I think a lot of people in Oxford are glad you stayed too. Well, what do you see in the future? What do you want to do in Oxford? What do you want to do kind of personally? Do you want to travel? Do you want to get 4 or 5 more dogs? What do you see for your future for you and your hubby?
Yeah, that's a great question. So currently, one thing I failed to mention is I am going back to school right now. I'm at the University of Michigan's Ross School of Business to get an MBA, Master's of Business Administration, because I'm really interested in learning business. So my undergrad's in international relations, so I purely have a policy government background, but I'm really interested in learning more of the business aspect. So for now, that's a 2-year program, so I'm really working on that. And I don't know what's in the future. We do love to travel. We like to travel internationally, but maybe after I am done with the program that's taking up a lot of time, finding ways to give back to my community is definitely important. And I know my husband Logan feels the same. So yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're both very involved in the community.
Yes, we are. We try to be.
So a key question, what kind of dogs and what are their names?
Well, we have 2 golden doodles. We actually adopted both. Our 4-year-old, her name is Winnie, and our almost 1-year-old next month is Dottie.
Winnie and Dottie. Sounds very good. Sounds like my great-grandma's sister's names.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you, Brooke, for taking time. It's a beautiful day, so we had to get out, and this is good. We thank you for all the work you do. I suspect that you're in the future going to be doing good things in Oxford and elsewhere, but we sure appreciate you taking time. Any last words for the folks who are out there?
I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for tuning in. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or want to connect with me or have a community endeavor that you'd be interested in partnering with me. My phone number is 248-872-3741. So again, open to reaching out and connecting with anyone in the community.
The best offer we've had all day. That's for people who actually might want to talk to somebody who's making things happen. And maybe you're making things happen too. So thanks, Brooke.